How many people came from a vegan vegetarian lifestyle? And misery was there. But the promise was you were going to be healthier and live longer. But what we're doing today is the most amazing thing. My name is Dr. Rob Kiltz, by the way, just in case you didn't know me. And I am so honored to be in the room with all of you because we all are unique and different, except in the way you work on the inside. We're the same. Our DNA is nearly identical. The metabolic processes, the same. And fruits, fiber, vegetables, seeds, nuts, and all the chemicals that they make in antigens will affect you almost identically. And every one of the thousands of diseases we've been labeled to have is simply plant poisoning. Think of it like poison ivy. Anyone ever had poison ivy disease? Is there a poison ivy disease? There is not. You're simply poisoned by plants and protein. Anyone tell me how an animal finds protein in the world? Have you ever seen protein? It doesn't exist. You either eat plants or animals. The rest of the science is mostly snake oil. That I will tell you. And we're going to keep it easy, but I'm here because I honor this man over here, Kerry Mann, for the amazing work he has been doing to bring us all together. And we have some amazing experts on the carnivore lifestyle. And everyone's going to get a chance to ask questions. I'm doing a brief introduction. Alia is my right hand. Amazing. And we have people. And without the people, and I know each of us has someone helping us, and whether it's your husband, wife, mother, father, but we are here to help each and every one of us, right? And without your inspiration for your neighbor, your brother, your sister, your enemy, because when you teach them carnivore, they will become your best friend. And that's the game changer. But I'm going to first introduce Dr. Lisa Wiedemann to share her story. And what does Dr. Lisa Wiedemann tell Dr. Kiltz?
I love you.
Always. Suck it up, buttercup. And what does Kiltz say to her? From time to time.
Thank you. I got to try to say this without getting choked up. I am so honored to be in a room of like-minded people. So I'm Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. I've been an optometric physician for 33 years. Carnivore, March 9th, will be 16 years. And so I feel so honored to be sort of, what we call the OG of carnivore, because this is all about getting my story out. And my story was when I look back, horribly painful, that I suffered most all of my life from sugar, carb, food addiction, disordered eating, and I literally felt very despondent. And I felt from the outside, I'm a successful woman. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm an eye doctor. But I was suffering very secretively because nobody likes to binge in front of other people. And so as kind of humiliating and embarrassing as it is to say this story, it's my story, and I had to embrace it, and I had to use it to help others. And I always say, if I could help one person out of that misery that I suffered, it will be worth it to stand up here and tell you, what I've been through. And it all started with my Easy Bake Oven when I was 6 years old. So I am very passionate to connect people. Connect the, I say as humans, we want to feel connected. We want to feel like we belong. And when we've discovered this way of eating, we all know you're pretty much flying your freak flag, okay? And you have to be comfortable with being different, or you're not going to make it in this, because as much as I now feel everybody else out there is eating freaky, right? That's not food, right? And but all in all, we still have to get along with our friends, our family, our coworkers, and not let that derail us or sort of hinder us in our journey on this. So meetups have become so special to me because 16 years ago, a gentleman, Charles Washington, who had a forum zeroing in on health, because this was way before all YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So I can't even believe, through my diligence and hours of what we just back then called, internet surfing, I came across this group. And within about 6 months of just kind of journaling with these people, okay, this was before Zoom, guys, and we were just learning about each other's path to this, because it's so interesting that everybody comes to this with their own story, their own struggle, and to see the healing that was happening. And fortunately for me, there was 2 women in there who were journaling about how this totally solved their disordered eating. And I was like, ooh, really? Meat and water? I'm in. I don't know. You tell me this is going to work, I'm in. And that was the evening of March 8th. And March 9th, I jumped in because I knew that there was now a light at the end of the tunnel. And so we're journaling in there, and Charles Washington hosted a meetup in Philadelphia. And I was about an hour and a half away from there, where I lived in New Jersey. And I was like, am I gonna go meet internet people? I'm like, do I tell my husband? Do I just go? And then I said, no, I feel so comfortable with these people that I have met online. I went, and it was incredible. I specifically remember it was 20 people. It was at one of those, Brazilian, like we're going to today, meat parades. And it was magical. I walked away feeling so inspired and so connected. And I thought to myself, I am not ever going to stop doing this and spreading my message. Back then, nobody really wanted to listen. What are you doing? Why? What's your cholesterol? You're gonna have a heart attack. You all know that ongoing yada, 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 the noise. And so I'm now, I believe this, I've either hosted or attended, I think this is number 34 for me, but I feel so motivated to try to connect us wonderful, like-minded people as much as possible, because I know I've spoken to some of you already today, and I'm excited when I hear it's your first meetup, because trust me, it won't be your last. You'll seek them out from the energy that you'll feel from listening to others and just being together. And so, yeah, I just got off a cruise ship yesterday. I had Bella and Max with me. And we had Fred Hahn, the slow burn fitness expert, on board with us, and it was amazing. So you'll understand when I say, this, but 6 days out in the Caribbean with this. And the food directors were so motivated to make sure that my group was happy. And we had slow braised lamb shank. We had grilled salmon, unlimited. And they just wanted to make us happy. New York strip, no seed oil. It's difficult to do that on your own. You know, just walking into a restaurant, it's like, well, there's going to be seed oil. How am I going to, but it just became another way for me to connect a lot of very amazing people. And I say, each of you have gotten yourself into this room. That's amazing, each of your stories, because you had to buck the information out there, right? The brainwashing of the plant-based movement. So just understand that you're all incredibly amazing to have gotten yourself here. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I was told, my name is Nelson Vasquez. I have been a physician for 40 years. I live here in Florida for the past 29. And Alia told me the other one.
The other one. Oh,
Yeah.
this one?
This one. Yeah. So they told me, oh, you're going to have maximum 5 minutes, okay? And I said, okay, well, I'll have to talk about my favorite subject. Can anyone see it? Me. All right, so try to make a 1-minute version of what I have found past couple of years. Today I am 590 days carnivore. I've been over 30-some years on and off keto. I've advised low carb to my patients, especially diabetics. First thing you need to cut is, the bread, the flour. You all know, right? But I wasn't following my own advice. I also know I'm not perfect for 2 things. She's not here today. She wasn't feeling good, but my wife was going to come. My wife of 40 years keeps reminding me I'm not perfect. Every day. I also know I'm not perfect because if I was perfect, I will be tall, dark, and handsome, right? But, well, I'm not tall, I'm not dark, but 1 out of 3 ain't bad, right? So I've lost over 100 pounds, over 16, 18 inches. This is one of my belts I was using when, okay? This is how I've been most of the past 40 years. I was a big kid in school, was athletic. I played softball, basketball, volleyball, but always on the heavy side. But once I started my medical career, activity levels that, I talk with my hands. I've had people tell me, can you talk without moving your hands? I'm sorry. So, totally reversed plantar fasciitis, totally reversed hypertension, pretty severe, very high doses of medications. I've improved my A1C to 5.4. It has been in the past up in the 9s and 10s, even though I was a doctor and knew it all. And even though I was advising patients, looking like this in the exam room, to eat low carb, but I wasn't doing it. Apple fritters might have something to do with that. A little bit of eczema, gastroesophageal reflux for over 35 years on Zantac and Pepsi, and all the medications I used them all because I used to grab them from the medicine closet. There's so many things I even forget. My eyesight has improved a little bit. I was diagnosed June 12 with macular edema. And I said, no, I got to do something because my daughter-in-law was pregnant with my grandson, and at the moment, my one and only grandson. And I said, I got to see my grandson. that was a big why. So everybody here has watched at least one YouTube video in their life, right? That means you have a YouTube channel, even though you might not have put anything up there. So I would encourage you to tell the stories. It is the documented stories that matter, okay? And you don't have to do it at the degree that Kerry is doing it. Okay, he's the man. He's literally the man, because his last name is Mann. But you can put up a little video, a little clip, just spread the word, because you are the science. One more thing I had to say. You said that you were one of the oldest here. So, how old is Dr. Kiltz?
10.
I'll give a shirt to whoever says the number first. No, he's not 69. He's so old that when he went to school, there was no history class. It was called current events.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson.
I love you, Dr. Nelson. What's the leading cause of human death? Cardiovascular, heart disease. And we want to stay off someone's operating table, don't we? And one of the premier experts in our field of carnivore is Dr. Phil Ovadia, to share his story and his motivation for all of us to fix our hearts.
Thank you, Rob. I'll mostly spare my history. I think it's been talked about plenty, but about 7 years now of carnivore, a few more years of low carb before that. And it's just amazing to see how this community is growing. I was honored to be up in Washington, D.C. about 3 weeks ago for some of the inaugural events, and was able to attend RFK's inaugural ball. Yep, exactly. And it was just amazing to see making America healthy again being a focus of our incoming administration. And of course, what politicians say and what they do might be two very different things. So, the message that I give to everyone is don't wait for them to do it for you. Each one of you has the power to do this for yourself. You decide what you eat, and, and that goes for your doctors as well, right? Your doctors don't decide what you eat. You decide what you eat. And if this sounds like a good idea to you, give it a try. I can tell you as a heart surgeon, I have never seen someone have a heart attack from eating a steak. So you can do it one day, you can do it the next day, and maybe you'll be here 15 or 16 years later still doing it and in the best shape of your life. One of the things that I think is important, right, is that people have the support they need to do this. And so that's where it's so amazing seeing the community, seeing all the, whether it's people on YouTube talking about it or the physicians actually in the trenches doing it, having medical practices that actually prescribe carnivore diets. And I know that that's going to become more common. And I'm just excited to be here to be a part of it. Thanks, Rob, for bringing this together. It turns out that here in the Tampa, Florida area, we have an amazing metabolic health community that's building. I'll put a little plug in for all the local people in November. big conference in Tampa, Hack Your Health. I know a lot of us are going to be there. They're hoping to get about 5,000 people there. And while it's not strictly carnivore, I attended last year in Austin, and I can tell you it was very carnivore heavy. So we'll aim for that again this year, but that's a great opportunity. And then just get out, find the people that are doing the things that you're doing, having the success that you're having, and continue to support each other and spread the word. So look forward to interacting with you all throughout the morning and over some good meat at lunch. And thanks, Rob, for bringing us together.
All right. I'm not that old. But we do have a really old guy carnivore here. And I want Mitch to share his story because he's the man.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I just found out like 10 minutes ago that I'm supposed to do this. And he said, talk for 5 minutes or so. And I said, Kiltz, do you know who you're talking to? I've never been able to finish a thought in less than an hour, and if nobody stops me, it just keeps going. And that anybody who watches me on YouTube knows that rabbit holes are my favorite place. I love the rabbit holes. The one thing I'm not, though, it makes me feel a little pregnant, pardon the expression, in this room, is I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything. I'm not anything. I never got any letters behind my name. But what I have been is the single most curious person on the planet Earth from the time I was this big. I needed to know why, how come? And I never was satisfied with an explanation because I would dig deeper. Why? And I learned at a very young age the art of separating fact from things that are reasonable and make common sense. And everything that we do has to make common sense. It has to have a root, and that root has to be believable as well. Here comes the conflict. The reason that some of us doubt this. Maybe we're very religious. Maybe we're being told, well, according to our evolutionary pathways and our belief in God says, that's not true. That can't be, and we discount it all. We don't have open minds, we have ideologies. And that's the greatest barrier that I've seen in trying to help people understand what I think is the actual root cause of these problems. Because if you don't find it and you don't settle and figure a way to overcome that, you're spinning your wheels. You'll do what I did for 75 years. I've been low carb since 1972 when I read Robert Atkins' first book. I've been a health nut for 75 years. But I've always been bouncing between 150 and 210 pounds. Up and down, up and down. I invented the roller coaster. Honest to God. I never knew why I couldn't sustain this for life. I knew all the principles, I knew the science, I learned evolutionary biology, I learned biochemistry, I learned paleontology. I studied all that stuff. All those things that Ken Berry says that he studied when he woke up, I've been studying from the time Ken Berry was born. And I understand that, and I keep looking for the answers. I can't be a doctor, but they've been calling me professor all my life because I love to teach. I love to teach and I love to help people. But all I can teach you are things that I have personally witnessed and experienced and can speak to that aren't secondhand information that I become the expert because I heard so-and-so say it. So I'm not an expert. I don't want to be called an expert. I was humbled when Kiltz says to me, we want you to be an expert. I said, what do I know? I'm a comedian. You know, well, I'm a comedian. Like Rodney Dangerfield, you know. I was in rough shape yesterday, but I'm okay now. You know, I mean, that's what I like. I'm a closet comedian. So what I try to do is not disagree with anybody, not fight with anybody. Merely tell you, look, been trying to do this for 75 years. I learned that no matter what I do, I can lose the weight. No matter what I do, I will put it back on within 3 months because I'm a carb addict. I am such a raging carb addict that I cannot control it. I can't, never could. Lose the weight, hey, I'm there, celebrate, let's go have a pizza and some ice cream, and boom, boom. 3 months later, 200 pounds again. It wasn't until I found carnivore, no carbs, abstinence completely from carbohydrates, like an alcoholic has to abstain and like a drug addict has to abstain. You will not cure your addiction. And for people like me, that's what finally did it, getting off the carbs. I think my timer counted down. Kiltz wants me to go. I told you, I warned you, don't get me started, don't get me started. Thank you.
If you have not yet watched Old Guy Carnivore Mitch on his morning lives, you must. He's quite entertaining, but he's sharing stories that we all love to hear. There are few women in the world that are so inspirational in our field. And Dr. Boz has really inspired me in so many ways. I watch her. I love the way she shares her just honesty. She has just, I think, changed this world. And what we're seeing is we need more doctors like her on YouTube and social media, but she's also has group meetings and other things. So again, let's give a big hand for Dr. Boz to share her amazing energy.
So last week, actually 2.5 weeks ago, I did my first live speech of 2025. I was really nervous. I had spent probably 300 hours getting my slides, the animation, the science. And I had an opening hook that I was struggling with. Like, how do I get the attention of the audience and then not have them fall asleep? So I'm headed to the conference, and, well, the lecture was on menopause brain, and I needed a boy doctor to pick on. So I texted Dr. Westman and said, will you help me out with my opening hook? I need a doctor to pick on. And he said, shucks, I'm not going to be there. Ask Dr. Sivas. So I text Dr. Sivas, and he says, I don't get there till Saturday. Pick on Dr. Barry. And I said, I don't know. His ego's a little fragile. He might not be able to handle it. Dr. Barry wasn't going to be there either. And so then I'm looking around the room, and I said, Dr. Kiltz, I need a favor. At the beginning of my speech, would you help me with this question? What would you do with this patient? And he bravely volunteers. So during the speech, this was low carb Boca, where well-run conference because of a leader that has had a brain injury. And when you interrupt his idea of a good presentation, he attacks. So Kiltz stands up and gives my excellent opportunity, and I see a beeline. Attacked totally for me. So thanks for taking one for the team. But it is truly a community of physicians that becomes a kindred when you're not the only one alone trying to teach something that is against the grain. And instead of being washed away with the waves, you have friends that hold your hand and say, let's all say this together. This is what we are seeing in our practice. You know, I'm from a dynasty of hog farmers in South Dakota, where community is what is in my soul and spirit of that's how companies and businesses and families run. And I think this, when I said, come to a meetup, the first time somebody asked me, I thought, is it like a dozen people or something? And now it's this community of people saying, I am literally hungry to understand this. So thanks for your attraction. Thanks for being part of this community. And if you are from the area, there is nothing like the event that we get to have at the end of the year. So to show them that, I'd call it Midwest hospitality in Tampa for an event that really is got momentum behind changing how the world sees people getting healthy, just one meal at a time. Thanks for inviting me. This is going to be a great day.
Miss Bella. We love this woman. And she is so energetic and inviting to all of us. So I highly invite everyone to join her amazing tribe.
My husband said to stand in the middle. So I'll stand right here so I don't get that glare. So happy to be here. A little further? Yeah, okay. Seriously, so humbled to be here. I can tell you right now, this carnivore community right here is 20,000 times better than the vegan community. It is night and day, and I literally just got off a carnivore cruise, Dr. Lisa's carnivore cruise. I highly recommend you check out all of her meetups. She truly is the queen of meetups, carnivore events, and cruises now. And I got to spend my honeymoon with my husband, steak and butter guy, on that cruise. It was the best. I also have to give a huge shout out to our amazing Dr. Kiltz because he officiated our wedding. I love you. I'm really just gonna spend this whole time shouting out you guys because there's nothing for me to share besides I am so grateful for you guys. When I was vegan, I got the firsthand experience that plants are trying to kill you. And I was only eating plants. I lost my period for 2 years, and I want to have 12 kids with Max. Regained my period in just 2 months of eating meat, steak, butter, eggs. It saved my life. My skin, night and day. So really, when I post videos, when I'm on Instagram getting all of the nutritionists telling me that I am a danger to society every day, I am doing it for the young women, for the teenagers, 20-something-year-olds, and of course, just everyone. So I hope that my videos can touch young women who are struggling with their hormones, their skin, their self-confidence. But yeah, I love you guys so much. I really think that us sharing our stories, whether it's in the comment sections, on YouTube interviews, on each other's channels, starting your own YouTube channel, it is the best way to spread the word. It really is. So if you guys need help, some pointers to how to start your YouTube channel, please come to me. I want to help you guys because when we spread the word together, Team Meat will win. I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Emma Mann. Where's Miss Emma? Where is Miss Emma? Emma, come on up. We're so inspired to have Emma share her story of inspiration. We love you, Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma. Yes, please. So I became vegan because I watched a movie about animal cruelty, and it was the saddest movie ever. I remember I was crying, and I said, I'm never, ever going to eat meat again. And so I became vegetarian for a few months, and then I went full vegan, no dairy, no eggs, no meat. And I remember my parents thought, oh, that's just a phase, it's not gonna last long. Well, it lasted almost 5 miserable years. Being vegan, I lost weight. My skin started to break out, it got worse and worse. And I just, red dots covered my face and back, and I felt so ugly, I hated looking in the mirror. I was like a zombie. I had absolutely no energy. I'd be going to bed around 5 or 6 p.m. every single day. My social skills absolutely disappeared. I barely ever left the house. The only place I went was school, and even then I slept through most of my classes. And then I started doing bad things and hurting myself because the pain would make me just think about the pain and not how miserable I was. So I was unhappy and hopeless. And then I see my dad watch this crazy guy, Dante. where he only ate meat. And just in a few weeks, my dad became a whole new person. He had so much energy. He was like, let's do this, let's do that. And he even stopped snoring. Like, I could used to hear him snoring through my room. But most importantly, he became happy. And I wanted to be happy too, but I knew that I never could because I believed an animal shouldn't have to die for me to eat. And then I learned the truth that millions of animals die and suffer an awful, horrible death from pesticide poisoning. That just broke my heart. All those years, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was compassionate, but everything I knew was wrong. And so that made me sick. That day I didn't eat, and the next day I didn't eat. I was just kind of sort of planning, and then I started to have hope again. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be happy, but under one condition. I'm going to try to only eat animal products where I know came from a good, loving, humane life, and I wouldn't waste anything. And so, oh yeah, here's a video of me eating the first real food in almost 5 years. I can't!
You have it, you're overthinking it. Come on, you got it.
We got these eggs from Aaron and Vicky, who raise their chickens good, so
Wait,
I believe that I should eat them. I think it's so good because I'm starving.
You want to add some salt.
Oh,
You like it?
so good.
Actually? No, she's joking.
That's so good.
Really? I feel like you're joking.
Really? It's so good.
Oh, off? Aw. Are you okay?
Oh my god, she doesn't know how to cut a steak. She knows how to cut cauliflower. Show them.
Cheers. Oh my god.
Good.
Seriously, look at what she did. Move your knife.
Cleared the plate.
There's nothing there.
And so it was just so crazy. Like I became like my dad instantly. After I ate that steak, I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. And I had hope. I was like, I'm going to be happy. And I had so much energy. And 2 weeks into carnivore, my skin started to clear up. And 2 more weeks, it was all gone. And so yeah, I just like before I couldn't talk to anyone or hold any eye contact, let alone talk in front of all these people. But I became my bubbly, happy self where I could go to the store and talk to someone like I've known them forever. But the most important thing is I became happy. So yeah, I guess that's my story, and now I want to help heal humanity.
We're all learning from each other, and I hadn't really seen Dante much, but I'm hearing from everyone. I learned from Dante Ferrigno. I learned from Dante. All right, who is this guy, right? And it is, there's so many people out there. That's the beauty. It's you can't see everyone, but I want to hear Dante's story, and I'm sure you want to hear it also. Ferrigno, freedom.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dante, and I'm a carbaholic. You know, listening to these people speak up here, I didn't know what I was going to say when I got up here. I figured it was going to be a lot like the same things I say all the time, which is kind of the hard part of adjusting to this, is I do say the same thing a lot. But one of the things I don't get to see a lot of times is those results. And Carrie's been telling me for the longest time. He's like, man, if I hadn't seen that. And there's something about it that causes me to discount it. Nah, it's just me. It's just me sharing my thing. But somebody had mentioned about how important it is to tell your story. And I kind of stumbled backwards into telling my story because I wouldn't have been on YouTube if I hadn't been doing something with my son, because he was already posting stuff about video games that he was playing. And I thought, well, you know, you're not even 13 yet. Technically, you're not even supposed to be sharing anything on YouTube. That's against their rules. But I didn't really care about their rules too much. I just cared about him sharing that information out there with the world when he doesn't know the implications and the long-term ramifications of that. And I said, well, let's do it together. You know, we'll learn about how this works together. And for those of you who haven't started sharing your story and you've thought about doing it, it really comes down to being as simple as pushing record and start talking about what you're passionate about. At that time, I was a little more passionate about playing games and having fun and doing stuff with my son and doing stuff with these people that we were doing online with. But that didn't grow into anything, and I'm glad it didn't. But it did get me prepared to be able to do what happened a year after that when I discovered the Lion Diet. Now, some of you may not have heard the term Lion Diet. Some of you have, obviously. I know carnivore and Lion Diet, a lot of times people, what's the difference? What is it? Well, Lion Diet is a carnivore diet. It's just specific types of meat that seem to be better for healing certain problems. I got started because I had a gut problem that was so painful, and it could be a mixture of the food that I was eating, but it was also possibly surgeries that I had had because they took my gallbladder out back in 2002, and they went through my belly button, and I'd ask the doctors about that. What about that mesh? You had to go back and repair it in 2007. What happened with that? And then I asked the doctors later, and they say, well, there's nothing there. I said, what do you mean there's nothing there? You told me you fixed it. But there's nothing fixed. And I thought, well, that's strange. How come my doctors don't give me any information? And then as this pain continued to go on, I would ask the doctors, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? What's wrong? And they were putting their cameras in one end and down the other end and trying to find whatever they could. And they just weren't finding anything. And there's nothing worse in my experience with the medical community than after sitting in bed in a hospital room, a hospital bed all night long, yelling for the nurse to give me something for this pain, to make this pain go away, and nothing be done. The following morning, after being up all night, the doctor comes in, and he sits down and folds his arms, and he looks at me and he says, Mr. Ferrigno, what do you want us to do for you? I'm like, am I supposed to fill in the blanks here? I thought you were supposed to know this stuff. I thought you were supposed to have answers for people who were hurting. And that went on and on all throughout 2020. And I think a lot of us were under a lot of stress in 2020. I was the administrator at a retirement home. So that was a very interesting thing to be trying to manage, dealing with all this lockdowns and nonsense that was going on. But then on top of that, I've got an elderly crew of people that I'm taking care of, and I'm trying to keep all that out of there. And it's just, it was rough. And then I saw Jordan Peterson. I found out about him in 2020, and he was helping me a lot with what he talks about. Do you all know who Jordan Peterson is? Does anybody not know who Jordan Peterson is? Okay. My wife has even referred to him as a modern day prophet because a lot of the things that he does are just miraculous on so many levels. But he was making so much sense with all of the things that he was sharing with me on those videos that he was sharing about psychology and also about, personal responsibility and so on and so forth. And even though I was the administrator of a retirement home, I thought I had my responsibility down pretty well. But I learned a lot from him. And then when he was asked about this all beef diet that he was doing, Joe Rogan said, "Are you still doing that all beef thing?" And I said, "Wait a minute, what? He's eating all beef?" I knew about the Atkins diet. We talked about that. I'd done the Atkins diet back in 2006. And I lost 88 pounds in like 6 months, so it was amazing. Now, back then, I was also using phentermine to do it. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before. But it was really amazing to see that weight loss, but then it all came back within just a few years because I hadn't changed my thinking about food. Well, listening to Jordan talk about how this type of diet got rid of all these problems for so many people, and the doctors weren't giving me any answers, I said, well, I'm going to give it a try. And I said, well, I got this YouTube channel. I know I'm going to lose weight. Maybe some of the guys who watch these video games that I talk about will see this, and they'll stop eating all the food that keeps them so heavy and things like that. So maybe it'll help a few people. I had no idea it was going to take off like it did. I didn't know there was a carnivore community. I didn't know there were doctors out here talking about all this stuff. I just grasped at a straw, basically, and was lucky enough or smart enough or prepared enough or something to hit record as I started that process. And that's what all of you who have gone through something that have changed your life like this has, or if you're at the beginning of that journey especially, you got a great opportunity to share a story with the rest of the world, because I still don't know how to process the fact that Kerry is doing this because of me, and all the people that have found out about it from Kerry, because he just ran with that football, I'm so thankful for. Knowing there's more healthy, happy people out there is all I could ask for now. And that's what means the world to me. Thank you. I hope I didn't take too long.
Perfect, Dante. Thank you so much. Coach Lisa. Yeah, superstar. Sharing amazing energy. I wasn't able to be on the Healing Humanity Live the other day. Last minute, I just couldn't make it. And Coach Lisa took my spot. The pinch hitter, she hit it out of the park. And they said they don't need Kiltz anymore.
Hello and welcome, everyone. Some of you don't know me, some of you do. I'm definitely a novice when it comes to social media. I really suck at it. I own all that. But the mindset is you do it anyways. Overcome the fear, have faith, and walk forward. So on that note, this man drew me in, being like-minded. He absolutely has an incredible, amazing spirit, and his spirit is of love. My whole entire life, my passion is that can't we all just get along? Why does there have to be color and race and tall and short and all these other problems? Can't we just get along? Not to mention that by being obese, we are absolutely 100% outcasted. You know, they're too big for the chair, you're too big to invite on the cruise, you're too big to be on an airplane, like literally whatever it is. Everyone has a judgment against you. So that really bothered me, because inside the mind of women, and I'm going to speak primarily on women, but I do take men as clients as well, quite frequently, this started in childhood, maybe as young as 3. It could even be 1. You were the chunky monkey. Everybody loved your thighs until your thighs were no longer lovable. And they were sweaty, stinky, rashed, and quite a few other things that people don't like that goes along with obesity, not to mention the rashes. Oh, it's prickly heat. Use, cornstarch or whatever. Been there, done that. As I listened to each one of these amazing famous people up here in my eyes tell their story, I could actually take a piece of every single story and put it on my patchwork quilt and absolutely be who I am inside today. The difference between some of you who will be your first day of carnivore tomorrow, and I don't know the longest carnivore in here. Is it 16? I think it might be Lisa. So I'm not that person. I am more on a few of other people's journeys in here. Atkins, every drug prescribed or can be prescribed for weight loss I've taken. I forgot the one back in the 70s, ephedrine maybe or something. I don't know. Coming from the bodybuilding world, you do whatever it takes to get to 2% body fat on stage. Literally did it, screwed up my metabolism, had lots of children. My last one was 46. Definitely, I could say she did me in. However, would I change those days? Absolutely not. I'm so grateful I have her. But the testimony is what goes on inside of each one of us. And like Dante, I had a YouTube channel supervising an 8-year-old who got on every day and preached the word of God. We have a ranch, 200 acres, horses, cows, all this stuff. And that's all she did, get up there every day and say, be strong. You have a strong mind. Use your mindset. And I was like looking at this little 8-year-old critter I invented, thinking, good Lord, she's going to walk over me any day. And literally, she scared me. I kid you not, you guys. If you ever meet her, you're going to feel the same way. But she also inspired me, and she became the backbone of me doing it for myself. It is not about finding your why. It's about knowing that you love you enough to be strong enough for you. I mean, there's such a difference between, and I can give a gazillion testimonies. I'm not going to waste the time to do that. But if you love yourself for somebody else and they die, you died too. Right? And if you do it for your parents and we all know everybody's going home and they pass away, you lose another piece of yourself. So now you have this broken spirit inside of you, and that person just says it's not worth it. Rocky Road ice cream loves me a lot more than this world does. Right? And we go right to the carbs, the sugar. It's not even that. Literally, at the end of the day, it's about not loving yourself. not loving yourself enough to do what's right for you, because I kind of believe, like Dr. Kiltz does, which is, do we have addictions or do we not? Do we have chemical imbalance? Do we not? Well, coming from the science side of life, I believe that there's a lot of truth in chemical imbalance, especially on the standard American diet and or prescriptions, medications, all these other things. You do get off whack in your brain. Like you really don't have control of it. Somebody else is controlling you. So when you get control of that through nutrition and you're starting to get, and most of you know, I am the liver lady. So do I believe that a heart attack is just, natural causes of death? No, I actually believe that it comes from the liver. Do I think menopause is a real thing? It's there, but it's a symptom of a liver. Obesity did not cause fatty liver disease. Your liver caused obesity. All of these babies that we birth on a regular basis, I absolutely believe in this society, we name them, and then we stop the crying. Just like you would with an infant. If you didn't know what to do with it, you would just seek to try and get it to quit crying. And that's medication. That's all this stuff. The one part that I really pray that everybody, the message you will take home today is that you do need to love yourself, first and foremost. It's February. Number two, not only do you love yourself, but you have to do what's right for you. That doesn't mean you offend other people. Don't be arrogant. Don't be rude. Don't be boastful. But truly do what works best for you in your life. And number three is, in this community, stay strong with each other. Lift each other up, encourage each other, edify each other. I could go down the list of how every single person here, and even though Carrie was definitely the main man, Adam is the one who reached out and was like, let's do it. Everybody has an opportunity to open the door and speak if you're willing to do it. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and I really pray you get your health back.
All right, who really is the magic here? It's Carrie and Adam, sharing healing humanity. And they're going to give an introduction of their story and show a little clip, and we're going to have questions coming up after that.
Thank you. How's everyone doing? Good. All right. I'm going to very quickly talk about these stories. This is why we're here, right? All these incredible stories. This was me at my lowest. I was on 15 different medications. I was 100 pounds heavier than I am today. I was horribly depressed. I was sick. I was hopeless. And then I heard a story that changed my life forever. And I just wanted to talk about that briefly here today. Real quick, this was Jen and myself at age 14. We have been together ever since. We just celebrated 30 years together. 14 years after this photo was taken, I experienced the most profound moment of my entire life. Imagine a large hospital room, 18 doctors, nurses, specialists, medical equipment buzzing and beeping. I walked into the room and there were 3 incubators in there, each one of them with a little miracle. Jen had just delivered triplets. This was the happiest moment of my life, having my daughter Lily and having the triplets. But sadly, soon after that is when my health took a turn for the worst. I started getting depression, sleep apnea, snoring, brain fog, man boobs, IBS, weight gain, gout, arthritis. The biggest thing for me was the depression, and this was at a time when I needed to be a healthy and energetic and good father, and I was being just the opposite. I wasn't a father to my daughters, I wasn't a husband to my wife for many years, and I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And then at my lowest point, one day my lips started drooping. I went to stand up and I got dizzy, I couldn't find my words, and Jen called 911. I suffered a TIA mini stroke, and they diagnosed me with congestive heart failure. So I had tried everything. I tried every diet, every medication, every intervention. I was on all that medication, and I was at my lowest point. I was hopeless. And then one day I heard a story. Jen and I were watching a YouTube video, and we came across an incredible story, and that, of course, was the story of Dante Ferrigno. I saw Dante's transformation, not just physically, but mentally. Like, he became a completely new person. It was unbelievable for me. And I was sick for so long. Dante's story was the first thing in probably 15 years that gave me hope. And I was sick of being sick, so I decided to do carnivore. I decided to jump right in, and it's completely changed my life. I'm sure all of you have heard all this already. I'm down 100 pounds since my heaviest, got off all the medication, but I overcame the depression and anxiety, which was the worst of it for me. I realized something too, and this is what I kind of want to end on, is carnivore didn't save my life. What saved my life was the story. It was Dante's story. That's what inspired me to change. So these stories are so powerful. And we recently filmed Dante, as you can see up here in the corner, a couple months ago here in Florida. Dante's story is incredible. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but his ripple effect is amazing, because without Dante, I wouldn't have done this. And I realized how important these stories are. And that's why we decided to do this documentary. Adam and I have been traveling all over the world. We've just completed 45 interviews. So this is Dante's ripple effect right here. All of these people we filmed so far for the documentary. We're on the home stretch and we're almost done, but I can truthfully say none of this would have happened without Dante bravely sharing his story. We've recently filmed Tammy Peterson, who had terminal cancer. She's been carnivore for 6 years now, absolutely thriving. We filmed Bill Knott. We're going to show you a little clip with Bill. He was 700 pounds, stuck in his house for nearly 5 years. He's down 300 pounds right now. He overcame depression, overcame anxiety. I think about Dante, too. I think, what if I never learned this from Dante, where would Bill be right now? I don't know that anyone would even know Bill. Bill is now outside of his house. We filmed him a year later, so we're going to share a little bit of that. So to end this real quick, I just want to say a quick shout out. We've also filmed all of these incredible doctors, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Ovadia, and we really need to uplift and celebrate these incredible doctors that are actually treating the root cause of the problem. And in particular, before we do a round of applause, we got to thank Dr. Robert Kiltz. Dr. Kiltz has been the biggest supporter of healing humanity, the biggest supporter of the importance of sharing these documented stories. Plus, he's just got a huge heart. He's just an incredibly amazing individual. He could be anywhere, he could be doing anything, and he chose to do this. So we love you, Dr. Kiltz. Thank you. And then I just wanted to end with this. Each and every one of you has your own story. We've been talking about stories today. And your story has the power to inspire, to heal, to change lives. So when we think about this today, it's not just about healing ourselves. Together we have the power to heal humanity one story at a time. So like Dante, we encourage you, get your story out there and share it. It could change someone's life forever. Adam.
Gary. So first of all, thank you to everyone being here, and thank you to all these great doctors and experts up here. So I'm just going to briefly share my story real quick because I know we're pressed on time and we want to get to the Q&A. So basically, I started my journey for a totally vain reason, vitiligo, which is an autoimmune condition where your skin doesn't produce melanin. And I didn't start for weight loss, even though I was kind of chunky here. I was 80 pounds overweight, and I was essentially looking for a way to fix this autoimmune condition. I found Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan had the same condition, and he was on a carnivore diet. And he started to reverse this condition, so I thought, well, what is the carnivore diet? Then I found Dante. And I'm another one that healed so many things as a result of Dante sharing his story. And again, like Carrie said, sharing your story is one of the most important things that you could possibly do. So go to the next slide. So 6 years prior to me starting the carnivore diet, I had a traumatic brain injury. And I had severe complications where if I closed my eyes, I would fall over. I had motor tics, like I had Tourette syndrome. The doctors told me that this was permanent brain damage. So what I want to share with everyone here is when you start a carnivore diet, or if you're considering it, make sure that you try to stay as strict as you possibly can and for as long as you possibly can, because my brain damage actually healed in 5 months of staying complete strict carnivore diet. So thank you.
Not 100%, but...
Right, correct. My wife would definitely argue that for sure. So stick with it. You don't know what may actually heal. There was a ton of other issues that was resolved for me: plantar fasciitis, depression, anxiety, and obviously the brain damage was a big one, and I never expected that because it was supposed to be permanent for a lifetime. So that inspired me to help this guy right here with my expertise and background in photography, and switched over to video. And again, none of this would have happened without Dante sharing his story. So thank you.